I'm 77 years old, and last week, something happened that changed how I see my entire life. My granddaughter, Emma, is 12. Her teacher asked the class to talk about their grandparents, what they do, what they did. Emma couldn't answer. She didn't know what I did for a living. When I heard this, I felt a sense of something. Hurt, maybe. A little insulted. I spent 35 years building a career. I was an architect. I designed buildings that are still standing in 3 different cities. I won awards. I was respected in my field. And my own granddaughter doesn't know any of this. But then I asked her one question, and her answer broke me open in a way I wasn't expecting. Let me tell you who I was. For 35 years, I was an architect. Not famous, but successful. I once designed office buildings, schools, and a hospital. There's a library downtown that I designed in 1986. It's still there. Every time I drive past it, I feel proud. I thought that was my legacy. The buildings, the work, the things I created that would outlast me. I retired 12 years ago. But old habits die hard. I kept consulting, sitting on boards, reviewing projects for old colleagues. I told myself I was staying relevant, keeping my mind sharp. Really, I just didn't know how to stop. Work had been my identity for so long, I didn't know who I was without it. I have 4 grandchildren. Emma is the oldest at 12. Then there's Marcus, he's 10. Lily is 7. And baby Thomas just turned 3. I love them. I really do. But the truth is, I wasn't fully there. Even when I was in the room, my mind was somewhere else. A phone call I needed to make. An email I needed to answer. Always something pulling me away. I told myself they were young. They wouldn't remember anyway. I was wrong. After I heard about Emma's class, I called her over. I was going to tell her about my career, show her photos of buildings I designed, explain what an architect does. However, before I started, I asked her a question. I don't know why. The question just came out. Emma, what do you remember about me? She thought for a moment, and then she started talking. She didn't mention buildings. She didn't mention awards or projects or my career at all. She said, I remember when you took me for ice cream at that place with the purple door. We went every Saturday for a whole summer. She said, I remember you taught me to ride my bike. You ran behind me and you were so tired, but you kept running. She said, I remember your stories about when you were a kid, the one about the dog that followed you home. She said, I remember how you smell, like peppermint and something old. I like it. I sat there. 35 years of career, awards on my wall, buildings standing in 3 cities. And what my granddaughter remembers is ice cream, a purple door, the summer I taught her to ride a bike, and then she said something else, quieter. I also remember when you were supposed to come to my piano recital. You had a meeting. Mum said you were really sorry. I didn't remember that. I didn't remember it at all. But Emma did. She remembered I wasn't there. I started thinking about my own grandparents after that conversation. My grandfather died when I was 19. He was a factory worker. Spent 40 years at the same plant. I don't remember what he made there. I'm not even sure I ever knew. But I remember everything else. I remember he used to take me fishing at a creek behind his house. We'd sit there for hours and catch nothing. He didn't care. Neither did I. I remember my grandmother's kitchen, the smell of bread baking, how she'd let me lick the bowl when she made cake batter. I remember the way my grandfather laughed. This big, loud laugh made everyone else laugh too. I remember the songs my grandmother sang while she cleaned. I still remember the words to one of them. I couldn't tell you what either of them did for work, but I could tell you exactly how they made me feel. Safe, loved, like I mattered. And that's when I understood. Nobody remembers your resume. They remember how you made them feel. They remember if you showed up, and they remember when you didn't. A few years ago, I went to a funeral. Richard, we worked together for 20 years. He was more successful than me, CEO of a big firm, articles written about him, industry awards, the kind of career most people dream about. His funeral was packed. Important people, colleagues, business partners. However, when his son got up to speak, he didn't discuss the company. He didn't talk about the awards, the articles, or the buildings Richard's firm had designed. He talked about fishing trips. He talked about how Richard called him every Sunday morning, even after he moved across the country. He talked about a baseball game they went to when he was 8. Then Richard's granddaughter spoke. She was maybe 15. She cried the whole time. She said, "Grandpa always made me feel like I was the most important person in the room." That's it. That's what they remembered. Not the CEO, the grandfather who made a 15-year-old feel important. I sat in that church and I thought about my own funeral. What would my grandchildren say? Would they have stories to tell? Or would they only remember the meetings I couldn't miss, the recitals I wasn't at? I see my children now. They're in their 40s, busy, careers, kids, responsibilities. They're doing exactly what I did. "Dad, I can't come this weekend. Work is crazy." "Dad, let's reschedule. Something came up." Always something, always later, always next time. And I see young people now working harder than we ever did. More pressure, more competition, more demands. I understand. I really do. The world doesn't make it easy to slow down. But the trap is the same. You think you're building something, a career, a future, security, and you are. However, you might overlook everything else while you build it. You're working for a future that may never come, and the people who love you are waiting. They're waiting for you to slow down, to show up, to be present. One day, they'll stop waiting, and you'll have all the success in the world and no one to share it with. Here's what I wish someone had told me at 40, at 50, before I wasted decades chasing the wrong kind of legacy. Stop trying to be remembered for what you accomplished. Start trying to be remembered for who you are. Stop postponing the small moments, the ice cream trips, the bike rides, the piano recitals. Those are the things that stay. Those are the things that matter. Stop thinking you'll have time later. Later is a lie we tell ourselves. Later becomes never, and never becomes regret. Your grandchildren won't remember your job title. They won't remember how much money you made. They won't remember your awards, promotions, or corner office. But they will remember if you were there, and they will remember if you weren't. I'm 77 years old. I've spent the last few years trying to make up for lost time. Every Saturday afternoon, I now take one of my grandchildren out. Just one. We rotate. Emma, 1 week, Marcus the next, Lily, even Thomas, though he's still small. We don't do anything special. Ice cream, a walk in the park. Sometimes we just see tea, and I tell them stories about when I was a boy. They probably don't care about the stories, but they'll remember them. I know they will. Because I still remember my grandfather's stories. 60 years later, I remember Emma still doesn't know I was an architect. I haven't told her. I thought about it, even pulled out the photos once, but I put them away. Because now, when she thinks of me, she thinks of purple doors, and peppermint and Saturday afternoons. And maybe one piano recital I missed. That's my legacy now. Not the buildings, the Saturday afternoons. And making sure there are no more missed recitals. So I'm asking you, years from now, what will your children and grandchildren remember about you? Your job title? Your bank account? The promotions you got? Or will they remember you were there? The answer depends on what you do today. Not tomorrow. Not when things calm down. Today. If this made you think, share it with someone who's too busy to live. Subscribe. I'm 77. I have more mistakes to confess. And not much time left to confess them.